Okay, 15 teams in the NBA Eastern Conference landscape side of things, and we're going to evaluate predictions more into the final two in the Eastern Conference. Pretty much predictions for the Eastern Conference finals for the 2024 and the 2025 NBA season. Now, starting with these two teams, we got to realize it's been 4 months since the NBA finals. It's been a long off season, and now today is going to be the kickoff for the start of the NBA season. Looking at these two teams, let's drill down to each of them and then give our prediction take for who's going to enter the NBA Finals as we're going off within here. Now, disclaimer, remember guys, the predictions right now are still early in the season. The roster is not fully completed, as during the regular season there's going to be teams who are going to waive different players, have different trades, players who are going to be waived that you can pick them up, take those veteran minimums, so on and so forth. But as of right now, there's two teams that come to mind, the hierarchy of the Eastern Conference as looking as so. Starting off with, I do have the New York Knicks, who are going to be into the Eastern Conference. Now, remember last year with the New York Knicks, they were at a 15-32 record, an emergence raising as the second seed, who were able to knock out the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round of the NBA playoffs. And then due to injuries of playing around 5 or 6 guys to 7 guys in a roster rotation in the second round against the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks were able to lose that series in 7 games back in Madison Square Garden. But as last year the Knicks were able to reach 7 games in the Eastern semis, we fully expected them to be in the Eastern Conference Finals if they were fully healthy. This is a team that's dangerous. Now, during the offseason, they were able to bring in Mikal Bridges. They were able to bring in Karl-Anthony Towns within their team. We're going to see an emergence of Miles McBride this season coming off the bench. Cameron Payne is now on this team. OG Anunoby had an emergence last season, being traded mid-season, that really got their defensive priorities going, as well as being a 3D 26-year-old small forward / power forward in the league here. And also we saw an emergence of Josh Hart, especially, who can play the 2, the 3, the 4, who can play 40 to 48 minutes within that range. Now, there are a couple question marks within the New York Knicks I believe they were able to address. The two of them being is number one, Mitchell Robinson. Are they going to trade Mitchell Robinson? How long is he going to be out for? Are they able to bring in any backup centers or trade Mitchell Robinson for a definite defensive big within this team? That's something that comes to mind. Is Karl-Anthony Towns going to run the 4 or the 5? Since Mitchell Robinson is hurt beginning of the season, we're expecting Karl-Anthony Towns to play the 5, but I fully expect him. He needs to stay as a power forward to be in a traditional championship contending starting lineup team. So getting a backup big, or as well as trading Mitchell Robinson for a true veteran center, defensive-minded one, is going to be the big question mark, as well as if Karl-Anthony Towns can run that 4 within that team. Hopefully Tom Thibodeau doesn't run this team down to the ground. They do have depth within this season, but there are some question marks about certain players coming off the bench. They just let go of Landry Shamet. Hopefully we can see a consistency of Miles McBride being their backup point guard, who can make emergence this season. But within that, I'm looking to have more 3 and D guys coming off the bench as your 2 and 3. Some more holes to fill within there. And one of the main things being is Mikal Bridges, right? He changed his jump shot this offseason, and I really want to see either him revert back to his old state, or if he's trying to change his like Kevin Durant, that he can able to get these shots to be knocked in. These, again, 4 first rounds for Mikal Bridges. But overall, Mikal Bridges is going to give you 82 games a season or so. He's going to be healthy, durable, play 3 and D. He's a great pickup within this team. Him and OG Anunoby running the 2 and 3 are going to be a defensive nightmare for different teams coming down to it. But overall, the New York Knicks right now, I do have them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I do fully expect management to make different moves to fill this team out as of right now within that. And Jalen Brunson, I believe within this season, the Knicks could push for that first seed in the Eastern Conference. And I believe Jalen Brunson could be in that top 4, top 5 MVP consideration discussions when it comes down to it. Okay, well, that's the first team I do have in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, let's shift over to the second team and who they're going to battle. My predictions in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's going to be no one other than, of course, the Boston Celtics, as everyone pretty much expected that to be. Now, the Celtics last season had an amazing regular season, finishing at 64-18, being the hierarchy of the NBA Tier 1. No other team reached 60 wins last season, and the Celtics, they coasted through the playoffs, right? Even though there were some injuries, but they were able to beat the Miami Heat in 5 games, with no Jimmy Butler in the first round. Second round, they were able to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, winning in 5 games. Again, Donovan Mitchell got hurt, and no Jarrett Allen. And then the conference finals, they were able to take on the Indiana Pacers, winning that in a sweep. Now, the Eastern Conference, due to injuries and playoff seedings, it was not strong at all. Maybe like a C- letter grade. But again, the Celtics did what they had to do, so I can't blame them. And the Celtics were able to finish off beating the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games in the NBA Finals, which that series proven that they took on a healthy, definite team and able to knock down both on the offensive and defensive ends. So I give credit where credit's due to the Boston Celtics. The emergence of Jaylen Brown has proven him to be one of the tier 1s of the NBA, or you can argue tier 2, right below that. But Jaylen Brown should be in consideration of a top 10 player in the league for today. And again, Jason Tatum, even though he didn't have the best series in the finals, he was able to make up the last 2 games, 2 to 3 games or so, kind of being that mix within there. But again, the Boston Celtics, you're looking at this team, they now have the championship state of mind, so they got that monkey off their back. This team is deep, right? Your backcourt is going to be Drew Holiday and Derek White, both at 6'4", 6'5", defensive-minded combo guards who can run the 1 or the 2, right? And Derek White was explosive for Team USA, for both Derek White and Drew Holiday, so they got that gold medal, right? Peyton Pritchard, he's always been a great piece coming off the bench, being that point guard, kind of like a somewhat of a related, kind of like a TJ McConnell type, or not too much like an Alex Caruso, but that's an identity needed off the bench. The Celtics were able to gain within there. I would like for them to bring up a more definitive backup shooting guard, which they had Lonnie Walker, but they just let him go, which I was surprised there, but we'll see what they're able to do in Boston. Sam Hauser got that good deal for 5 years, $47 million, who was electric, hitting threes all over the NBA Finals, and he was amazing in the playoffs. Very underrated piece for them to grow on. And he's 26 years of age. Al Horford, this will probably be his last year or so, maybe one more year or two. But he's still going to be effective at power forward, center position. Jason Tatum should gain more confidence, finally win the NBA championship, to have less pressure on him and to make a run in the NBA season. And then Porzingis, a great piece that they brought in. Looks like they're still going to run Luke Cornett as their backup center and Xavier Tillman Sr., who got some minutes during the NBA Finals. I would like for them to bring someone more definite as a backup center, but again, what worked last season. I'm not going to stress too much. The Boston Celtics are top heavy within their team. They're pretty much the only team with barely any question marks. So if I'm going to give my prediction against the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, I'm going to go right now with the Boston Celtics beating the New York Knicks in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do fully expect the New York Knicks to actually snag that first seed in the Eastern Conference. So even though the New York Knicks would have home court advantage in the NBA playoffs, I expect Boston to be pretty much a 2nd seed or so. But right now, the Knicks have too many question marks. Now, if the Knicks during the middle to the end of the season are able to fill in those positions that I mentioned before, then let's revisit that conversation. But as of right now, I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics representing the Eastern Conference.